So what were those heavily ornamented sticks carried about by German field marshals in World War II? The correct name for them is a field marshal's baton, and they were a badge of rank, and of a type used by many European armies for hundreds of years. The Nazis didn't invent them, they simply updated an already well-established military tradition. The rank of Field Marshal is not something familiar to most American viewers, as the US Army has never adopted such a rank, but it is the equivalent of the US General of the Army. In European armies, the rank of Field Marshal or Marshal has long been the highest rank of a general officer, and though it has largely died out post-World War II, Britain is one place where this rank is still used. Though unlike in World War II, when top leaders like Sir Bernard Montgomery held the rank in active wartime capacities as the commanders of huge armies, nowadays it is in reality more ceremonial. For example, by convention, the senior field marshal is always the monarch, if the monarch is male. And so currently King Charles III is a field marshal in the British Army. But this is a non-commanding position. There are a few retired field marshals as well, formerly very senior generals in the British Army, and all have as their badge of rank the ornate baton, which they carry around with them on ceremonial occasions. The field marshal's baton actually derived over hundreds of years from a weapon, the war mace, carried by knights on horseback. War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made. Play more than 2,000 tanks, aircraft, helicopters and ships in dynamic combined arms PvP battles. As an historian, I appreciate that the vehicles in War Thunder span over 100 years of development, from the 1920s to the present day. Every vehicle is incredibly detailed and modeled, offering a highly immersive combat experience. War Thunder has incredible graphics and detail in 4K resolution to create the immersion you need. Play War Thunder now on PC, PlayStation or Xbox using the link on the screen. You receive a large, free bonus pack for registering using my personalized link, including multiple premium vehicles, premium account, boosters, and much more. If you look at some examples of Field Marshals' batons from the 20th century, they are all very similar across Western European nations. For example, these belong to Emperor Wilhelm II in his capacity as head of the German armed forces, and were carried by him throughout World War I. This video is focused on two batons that once belonged to one of the most notorious figures in Nazi Germany, the flamboyant head of the Luftwaffe, Hermann Göring. When discussing the Field Marshal's batons handed out to Hitler's generals before and during World War II, it is simplest to divide them into 7 different types. During the early part of Hitler's rule, the small German army had no field marshals, only retired ones from World War I. However, on the 20th of April 1936, on Hitler's birthday, he appointed Werner von Blomberg Field Marshal. He was also War Minister and head of the German armed forces. He was the only field marshal in the German army at this time. He was presented with a baton very similar to the old imperial batons of World War I, its shaft covered in a light blue velvet material and decorated with iron crosses and Wehrmacht eagles. This baton was unique. The next German promoted to Generalfeldmarschall, or Field Marshal, was Hermann Göring, on the 1st of March 1938, following the fall from grace of von Blomberg. Hitler took over as Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces and created 3 separate posts for the leaders of the Army, Navy and Air Force. Göring was of course commander of the Air Force. At the time, he was the only active field marshal in the German Armed Forces, as von Blomberg had been forced into retirement following a manufactured sex scandal against him. The Field Marshal's baton Hitler presented to Göring was again unique. It was similar in appearance to Blomberg's, but incorporated Air Force symbols in its design, specifically the Balkenkreuz, or Balkan Cross, used on German World War II aircraft, set into its light blue velvet-covered shaft. The end caps of the baton incorporated a design of many small diamonds. The end caps also contained at the top a diamond-encrusted Luftwaffe eagle and at the bottom another Balkenkreuz. Göring, in common with all field marshals, was also presented with an Interimstab, or field service baton, a simpler silver-tipped cane with a tassel that was used for everyday events, the ornate and very expensive baton being kept for the most ceremonial of occasions. This baton was among Göring's baggage when he surrendered to the US Army in May 1945, though it hadn't actually been used since 1940 and his promotion to a unique higher grade of Field Marshal. This baton is currently on display at the National Infantry Museum, Fort Moore, Georgia. Naval officers that achieved the rank of Grand Admiral, which was equivalent to Army Field Marshal, also received batons, 2 being awarded in World War II, the first to Erich Raeder. The naval baton's shaft was covered in dark blue material and incorporated Kriegsmarine symbols, primarily the fouled anchor. Raeder's baton was unique in that it had a chain-link pattern sewn over the symbols on the shaft. Raeder's baton doesn't exist anymore, having been broken up and sold in parts just after the war. In summer 1940, Hitler rewarded the generals who had conquered Western Europe for him by promoting 12 Army and Air Force officers to the rank of Field Marshal. 9 Army batons were made, all identical. They had shafts covered in red velvet, and the only difference between them was a unique inscription to each officer on the end caps. Later, 8 more red Army batons were made and presented, including to Erwin Rommel. The 3 Luftwaffe batons presented in 1940 were similar to Göring's Field Marshal's baton, being light blue and incorporating Balkenkreuz symbols, again with individual inscriptions on the end caps. 1 more of these was presented in 1943. However, none of them were as expensive to make as Göring's Field Marshal's baton, which was of course encrusted in diamonds. Some field marshals never received their batons. For example, Friedrich Paulus, trapped at Stalingrad, was promoted to field marshal by Hitler but surrendered the same day he received the radio message informing him of his promotion, 31st of January 1943. Similarly, Robert Ritter von Greim was appointed head of the Luftwaffe to replace Göring with the rank of Field Marshal inside Hitler's bunker in Berlin on the 25th of April 1945. He left Berlin, one of the last people to do so, on the 28th of April, and Hitler was dead on the 30th. Field Marshal von Greim was captured by the Americans on the 8th of May. One Nazi leader who similarly never received a baton led a huge military force, whose rank would seem to be equivalent to a field marshal. Heinrich Himmler held the rank of Reichsführer SS. However, his rank was not a command rank. Though top dog in his organization, Himmler was a political leader holding a unique political rank, hence no baton. In 1940, Hitler also promoted Göring from Field Marshal to the rank of Reichsmarshal, a unique rank that was only ever held by Göring. He received this extremely valuable baton to replace his Field Marshal's one. It cost a small fortune to make. The shaft is uncovered elephant ivory, with Wehrmacht eagles, Balkan crosses, and iron crosses. The end caps are made of platinum and set with over 600 small diamonds. The ordinary Field Marshal's baton cost about 6,000 Reichsmarks to make, equivalent today to $41,000, while Göring's Reichsmarschall baton cost a staggering 22,750 Reichsmarks, or in today's money $177,000. Of course, the historical value of these objects is much higher, and when World War II German Field Marshals' batons have been auctioned, they have achieved hundreds of thousands of dollars. Neither of Göring's batons have ever been sold on the open market. When Göring surrendered to US troops in 1945, you can see him holding his Reichsmarschall's baton, enclosed in its protective case. He was soon relieved of it, along with his decorations, medals, and personal sidearm. and Göring's Smith & Wesson revolver and his Reichsmarshal's baton are currently on display at the West Point Museum in New York State. One other Grand Admiral's baton exists, having been presented to Karl Dönitz in 1943. However, I'm going to make a separate video about this particular baton, which is in a museum in the UK, as I've been invited down to examine it in person, so that should prove to be a very interesting experience. Play War Thunder now on PC, PlayStation or Xbox using the link on the screen. Remember, you receive a large, free bonus pack for registering using my personalized link, including multiple premium vehicles, premium account, boosters and much more. War Thunder, get it now! Many thanks for watching, please subscribe and share, and also visit my audiobook channel, War Stories with Mark Felton. You can also help to support both of my channels at PayPal and Patreon. Details in the description box below.